I'm so glad you found your way here. Your body is healing itself right now, repairing damage while you simply exist. You'll discover the healing secret doctors are just understanding and learn why your mind holds powers you've barely touched. Welcome to Sleepy Science Night. Now settle in. You're in your safe space while your brain quietly prepares itself, clearing thoughts, softening the boundary between waking and dreaming. Allow yourself this moment of peace. We'll journey through 100 psychology facts about lucid dreams and awareness. From that strange moment when you realize you're dreaming, to the brain switching on its lights in the middle of sleep, to the truth about who's really watching when your eyes are closed. This thoughtful journey through consciousness builds bridges between searching minds. A soft like or sharing your thoughts creates a pathway for more dreamers to discover and brings us closer to protect this sanctuary of calm, one sleepy soul at a time. Your journey inspires ours. Let yourself settle completely here. Feel your jaw unclench, your breath deepen naturally. You can let these thoughts drift past without holding them. Sense that soothing heaviness enveloping you, like your consciousness slowly dimming its brightness. Thoughts dissolving into the peaceful fog of approaching sleep, safe and undisturbed. Close your eyes and breathe deeply. You're floating where memories rest safely in gentle darkness. Let your mind merge with infinite peace. And now we begin. Have you ever been in a dream and suddenly realized you were dreaming? That moment of clarity when everything around you was still a dream landscape, but you became aware of it, aware that none of it was real, yet you remained inside it. This experience is called a lucid dream, and it's more common than you might think. A comprehensive meta-analysis of 50 years of research shows that roughly 55% of people have experienced at least one lucid dream in their lifetime, and about 23% report having them regularly, at least once per month. The term lucid doesn't mean the dream is clearer or brighter. It means you're conscious during it. You know you're dreaming while the dream continues. Your sleeping brain has somehow turned on a light in a room that's supposed to stay dark. Have you ever been in a dream and suddenly realized you were dreaming? That moment of clarity when everything around you was still a dream landscape, but you became aware of it, aware that none of it was real, yet you remained inside it. This experience is called a lucid dream, and it's more common than you might think. A comprehensive meta-analysis of 50 years of research shows that roughly 55% of people have experienced a lucid dream. You exist in two states at once. Your body lies still in bed, eyes closed, breathing slowly, muscles relaxed and temporarily paralyzed by a natural process called REM atonia. But your mind is awake inside the dream, watching the scenery unfold. You might be flying over cities that don't exist, talking to people who aren't real, or walking through childhood homes that have long been torn down. And somewhere in your awareness, a quiet voice says, "This is a dream." That voice doesn't wake you up. Instead, it lets you stay inside the experience while knowing it's not real. This dual awareness is one of the most fascinating states your brain can achieve. The first scientific documentation of lucid dreaming appeared in the late 1800s, when French scientist Marquis de Hervé de Saint-Denis published a detailed book about his own lucid dreams, recorded over 20 years. He described learning to control his dreams, to shift scenes, and to remain aware throughout the night. For decades, scientists dismissed these accounts as fantasy. When's at least dream in their lifetime, and about 23% report having them regularly, at least once per month. The term lucid doesn't mean the dream is clearer or brighter. It means you're conscious during it. You know you're dreaming while the dream continues. Your sleeping brain had somehow turned on a light in a room that's supposed to stay dark. Have you ever been in a dream and suddenly realized you were dreaming? That moment of clarity when everything around you was still a dream landscape but you became aware of it, aware that none of it was real, yet you remained inside it. This experience is called a lucid dream, and it's more common than you might think. A comprehensive meta-analysis of 50 years of research shows that roughly 55% of people have experienced a lucid dream. You exist in two states at once. Your body lies still in bed, eyes closed, breathing slowly, muscles relaxed, and temporarily paralyzed by a natural process called REM, atonia. But your mind is awake inside the dream, watching the scenery unfold. You might be flying over cities that don't exist, talking to people who aren't real, or walking through childhood homes that have long been torn down. And somewhere in your awareness, a quiet voice says, "This is a dream." That voice doesn't wake you up. Instead, it lets you stay inside the experience while knowing it's not real. This dual awareness is one of the most fascinating states your brain can achieve. The first scientific about in 1975, British psychologist Keith Hearn conducted the first laboratory proof of lucid dreaming. A volunteer named Alan Worsley, while in REM sleep, moved his eyes in a prearranged pattern, left, right, signaling to researchers that he was conscious inside his dream. This simple eye movement opened a new door in sleep research. It showed that lucid dreaming was real, measurable, and something scientists could study directly. In that pause, awareness blooms. Research suggests that spontaneous lucid dreams often occur during particularly vivid or emotionally intense dreams when the brain's self-monitoring systems briefly activate during REM sleep. Not everyone who becomes lucid in a dream stays lucid. The awareness can flicker like a candle in the wind. You realize you're dreaming, feel a surge of excitement, and then, without meaning to, slip back into the regular dream, forgetting you ever knew. Or the excitement itself wakes you up entirely, pulling you out of sleep, before you can explore the lucid state. Maintaining lucidity requires a delicate balance. Your brain must stay asleep enough to keep dreaming, but awake enough to maintain conscious awareness. It's like walking a tightrope between two states of consciousness, and most people fall off one side or the other within seconds. Learning to stabilize lucidity is a skill some people practice for years. When you realize you're dreaming, one of the most common first reactions is to try to fly. Something about knowing the world around you isn't real removes the invisible weight of physics and possibility. Children who experience lucid dreams often report flying as their first conscious action in the dream. Adults do the same. You push off from the ground, half expecting to fall, but instead you rise. The dream sky opens up. You move through air like water, weightless and free. Neurologically, this makes sense. Your motor cortex is still active during REM sleep, rehearsing movements and generating sensations of motion. When your conscious mind joins the process, it can guide those sensations intentionally. Flying in a lucid dream isn't magic. It's your brain giving you permission to move in ways your waking body never could. Some people experience lucid dreams with such regularity that they've built entire inner worlds. They return night after night to the same dream locations, cities, forests, houses, planets that exist nowhere but in their sleeping minds. These persistent dream realms can feel as familiar as physical places. A dreamer might know the streets of a dream city better than their own neighborhood, remember the faces of dream characters who appear repeatedly, or follow storylines that continue from one night to the next. For these people, the dream world is as real as the waking one, just structured by different rules. There's a strange paradox at the heart of lucid dreaming. The more you try to control the dream, the more unstable it can become. Attempting to force specific people to appear, or willing entire scenes to change instantly, often backfires. The dream resists. It blurs, fragments, or collapses entirely, either waking you up or dropping you back into non-lucid sleep. This happens because lucid dreaming isn't about domination. It's about collaboration. Your conscious mind is a guest in a process, mostly run by your unconscious. The dream generates itself from memory, emotion, and neural activity you can't fully direct. The most skilled lucid dreamers learn to suggest rather than command, to gently guide rather than control. They work with the dream instead of against it, allowing the unconscious mind to lead while consciousness observes and occasionally steers. During a lucid dream, time can feel different. Minutes might stretch into what feels like hours, or entire dream adventures might unfold in what objective time shows as only seconds. Brain imaging during REM sleep suggests that time perception in dreams is subjective and elastic. Research on lucid dreamers estimating time intervals while dreaming shows significant variability. Some dreamers underestimate time, others overestimate, and a few report time feeling non-linear, flowing forward and backwards simultaneously. The brain's internal clock, which relies on external cues like light and routine during waking hours, drifts freely in the dream state. Without those anchors, your sense of duration becomes fluid. So yes, lucid dreaming is already revealing something profound about consciousness. It shows us that awareness isn't binary, not simply on or off, awake or asleep. Instead, consciousness exists on a spectrum, with many gradations between fully alert and completely unconscious. Lucid dreaming occupies a unique point on that spectrum. A hybrid state where parts of your brain responsible for self-awareness and executive function activate during sleep, while other parts continue dreaming. This challenges old assumptions about what sleep is and what the mind can do while the body rests. The boundary between waking and sleeping is thinner than we thought, and lucid dreams prove you can stand on that boundary, 1 foot in each world, and remain stable there. Not all lucid dreams feel empowering or pleasant. Some people become aware inside a nightmare and discover that knowing it's a dream doesn't immediately stop the fear. The monsters, the falling, the sense of dread, they can persist even after you realize none of it is real. This happens because emotions in dreams are generated by deep brain structures, like the amygdala, which don't always respond to conscious reasoning. Your prefrontal cortex might understand logically that the threat isn't real, but your emotional centers may still respond, as if it were, creating a gap between knowing and feeling. Research over recent years suggests that lucid dreaming can be used therapeutically to gradually reduce nightmare intensity. By repeatedly confronting the nightmare while lucid and reminding yourself it's not real, you can train your brain to dampen the fear response over time. The nightmare loses its power. Children experience lucid dreams more frequently than adults. Studies estimate that around 30 to 40% of children between ages 6 and 12 have lucid dreams at least occasionally, compared to roughly 20% of adults. Developmental psychologists believe this might be because children's brains are still forming strong boundaries between imagination and reality. Their sense of what's possible is more flexible. A child can believe in magic during the day and then slip easily into magical thinking at night, including the awareness that dreams are their own kind of magic. As we age, our thinking becomes more rigid, more bound by physical laws and social expectations. We stop questioning reality as readily, and so for many people, lucid dreams become rarer as childhood fades, unless they actively practice techniques to reawaken that questioning mind. The ancient Tibetan Buddhist tradition has practiced something called dream yoga for over 1,000 years, a form of meditation that trains practitioners to become lucid in their dreams and use that lucidity for spiritual insight. Tibetan texts describe dreams as a practice ground for recognizing the illusory nature of all experience, waking life included. If you can realize you're dreaming while asleep, the logic goes, you can also realize that your waking identity and experiences are similarly constructed, fluid, and impermanent. Western science is now catching up to what these traditions have known for centuries. Brain imaging comparing experienced meditators with lucid dreamers found striking similarities, particularly in areas related to self-awareness and metacognition. Both practices train the mind to observe itself. Lucid dreaming can be learned. It's not an innate gift some people have and others don't. With practice and specific techniques, most people can increase the frequency of their lucid dreams. One of the most researched methods is called MELD, mnemonic induction of lucid dreams, developed by psychologist Stephen LaBerge in the 1980s. The technique involves setting an intention before sleep. The next time I'm dreaming, I will remember that I'm dreaming. You repeat this phrase mentally, visualizing yourself becoming lucid, until you drift off. Studies on this technique have shown that people who practiced MELD regularly experienced significantly more lucid dreams than those who didn't. The brain responds to intention. What you focus on before sleep shapes what happens during it. Another technique for inducing lucid dreams is called reality testing. Throughout the day, you pause and ask yourself, am I dreaming right now? You look for clues, read text twice to see if it changes, check a clock. Try to push your finger through your palm. In waking life, these tests confirm you're awake. But if you make them a habit, you'll eventually perform the same reality checks inside a dream. And in the dream, the text will change, the clock will show impossible times, and your finger might pass through your palm like water. That's the moment you become lucid. Research on lucid dreaming induction techniques found that combining reality testing with other methods increased success rates significantly, with some participants reporting lucid dreams within the first week of practice. Some people use technology to help induce lucid dreams. Devices like sleep masks with built-in sensors can detect when you enter REM sleep based on rapid eye movements, then deliver gentle cues, flashing lights, or soft sounds to remind you that you're dreaming without fully waking you up. The idea is that your brain will incorporate these cues into the dream, and they'll serve as triggers for lucidity. Research on these devices shows varying results. Some studies suggest modest increases in lucid dream frequency, while others find minimal effect. The brain is highly individual in how it responds to external stimuli during sleep. What works for one person might disrupt another's rest entirely. Technology can be a tool, but it's not a guarantee. Interestingly, certain neurotransmitters play a crucial role in lucid dreaming. Acetylcholine, a chemical messenger involved in memory and learning, is particularly active during REM sleep. Research has explored whether galantamine, when taken during a brief wake period in the middle of the night, can increase the likelihood of lucid dreams during subsequent REM periods. Studies show some promise that these approaches should only be considered under medical guidance. The brain's natural processes are finely balanced, and disrupting them without understanding the consequences can lead to unintended effects, including sleep disturbances or altered mood. Lucid dreams can be astonishingly vivid, sometimes more vivid than waking life. Colors appear brighter, details sharper, sensations more intense. This might seem paradoxical. How can a dream feel more real than reality? The answer lies in attention. During waking hours, your brain filters out most sensory information, focusing only on what's immediately relevant. You don't notice the texture of your clothing unless you think about it, or the hum of distant traffic, or the subtle play of light on surfaces. But in a lucid dream, freed from the need to navigate physical reality, your brain can allocate more processing power to creating rich sensory experiences. Every detail is crafted by your mind and noticed by your consciousness simultaneously. You're both the painter and the viewer, and nothing is filtered out. Not everyone wants to have lucid dreams. For some people, the idea of being conscious during sleep feels intrusive, a violation of the natural surrender that rest requires. Sleep for them is meant to be an escape from awareness, not another arena for it. There's wisdom in this perspective. Sleep serves many functions beyond dreaming: physical repair, memory consolidation, immune system regulation. And there's some concern among researchers that too much lucid dreaming might interfere with these processes. If you're spending your sleep actively thinking and making decisions, is your brain truly resting? Current evidence suggests that occasional lucid dreaming doesn't harm sleep quality, but the long-term effects of frequent, prolonged lucid dreaming are still being studied. Balance matters, even in dreams. One of the most profound aspects of lucid dreaming is the ability to interact with aspects of yourself. In a lucid dream, you might meet a dream character and realize they represent a part of your psyche, a fear, a hope, a memory, an unexpressed desire. Some lucid dreamers report having conversations with these characters, asking them questions: who are you? What do you want to tell me? The answers can be surprising, revealing insights that your conscious mind hadn't articulated. This is similar to techniques used in psychotherapy, where clients explore different parts of themselves through dialogue. Research has suggested that lucid dreaming could be a valuable tool for self-exploration and emotional integration, allowing people to safely engage with difficult feelings in a space where consequences are temporary and forgiving. Lucid dreaming might also enhance creativity. Many artists, writers, and inventors throughout history have reported finding inspiration in their dreams. But when those dreams are lucid, the creative potential multiplies. You can consciously explore ideas, test scenarios, and experiment with possibilities that would be impossible in waking life. Salvador Dali famously used hypnagogic states, the border between waking and sleeping, to access surreal imagery for his paintings. In a lucid dream, you can do something similar, painting with your mind, composing music out of silence, or walking through architectural spaces you've designed in the moment. The dream world becomes a studio, a laboratory, a gallery without walls. There's a difference between a lucid dream and a false awakening. In a false awakening, you dream that you've woken up. You get out of bed, start your morning routine, brush your teeth, make coffee. Everything feels normal and real. But then something odd happens. The coffee tastes wrong. The mirror shows a stranger. Or you suddenly find yourself back in bed. That's when you realize the waking up was itself part of the dream. False awakenings can be disorienting. Sometimes stacking on top of each other, you wake up from the false awakening, only to discover you're still dreaming. But they can also serve as a gateway to lucidity. If you train yourself to perform reality checks every time you wake up, you'll catch the false awakenings and become lucid. The line between sleeping and waking becomes something you can navigate consciously. Some researchers believe that lucid dreaming could help with motor skill development. When you practice a physical movement in a lucid dream, playing piano, practicing a tennis serve, rehearsing a dance, your brain activates the same neural pathways as if you were doing it while awake. Studies have tested this hypothesis by having lucid dreamers practice specific motor tasks in their dreams, then measuring their performance improvement when awake. The results showed modest but real gains, especially for skills that rely heavily on mental rehearsal and visualization. Your brain doesn't distinguish sharply between imagined and actual physical practice. A movement rehearsed in a lucid dream leaves traces in your neural circuitry that can translate into waking ability. The dream becomes a training ground. There's something deeply humbling about lucid dreaming. It reminds you that your experience of reality is always in some sense constructed by your brain. Everything you see, hear, and feel is a model built from sensory data and neural activity. Waking life feels solid and objective, but it's just as much a creation of your mind as a dream is. The only difference is that during the day your brain's model is constrained by external input from the world around you. At night, those constraints are lifted. The model runs freely, generating its own content. And in a lucid dream, you become aware of this process while it's happening. You see the machinery of consciousness at work, creating worlds out of nothing. And you realize that your waking self is also standing inside a model, a story your brain tells you about what's real. These observations reveal that lucid dreaming is more than a curiosity or a novelty. It's a window into the nature of consciousness itself. By studying lucid dreams, scientists are learning how self-awareness arises, how different brain regions communicate during altered states, and how flexible and adaptable human consciousness truly is. We're not locked into one mode of experiencing reality. We can slip between states, adjust our awareness, and inhabit multiple perspectives on what it means to be awake or asleep. Lucid dreaming proves that the mind is not a fixed thing but a process, always in motion, always capable of shifting into new configurations. And as we continue this journey through the night, we'll explore how your brain makes this shift happen, what triggers it, and what it reveals about who you really are. Let's pause here and notice your body. As you breathe out slowly, appreciate each tiny cell inside. Trillions of organisms working in silence, heart beating, lungs breathing, brain thinking, all without your command. Even now, as you rest, your mind is preparing itself for dreams, for those quiet hours when consciousness might slip into the dream and recognize itself. Notice the gentle sensations on your skin, in your muscles, along your spine. You are a complete ecosystem, diverse, self-balancing. And somewhere deep inside, a light flickers, the same light that awakens in lucid dreams. Now we continue. When you become lucid in a dream, something unusual happens in your brain. A region called the prefrontal cortex, which normally stays relatively quiet during REM sleep, suddenly becomes more active. This area is responsible for higher-level thinking, decision-making, and self-awareness. During regular dreams, it's essentially offline, which is why most dreams feel illogical and you don't question the strange things happening around you. But in a lucid dream, the prefrontal cortex wakes up while the rest of your brain continues dreaming. Brain imaging studies using functional MRI scans confirm this pattern. Researchers can actually see the prefrontal cortex light up when a sleeping person signals they've become lucid by moving their eyes in a predetermined pattern. This activation of the prefrontal cortex during REM sleep is what allows you to think critically inside the dream. You can reflect on your situation, make plans, and remember your waking life goals. Some lucid dreamers even use this capacity to conduct experiments within their dreams, testing the boundaries of the dream world. Can they read text? Do the laws of physics apply? What happens if they try to summon a specific person or object? The prefrontal cortex gives you the tools to investigate your own unconscious mind while it's creating content in real time. Research has identified increased activity in the frontoparietal network during lucid dreams, a collection of brain areas that work together to support attention, working memory, and conscious thought. This network includes parts of the frontal lobes and parietal lobes, which help integrate sensory information and maintain awareness of your own mental states. In essence, lucid dreaming activates the brain's consciousness network during a state when it would normally be dormant. This hybrid brain state, REM sleep, with waking-like metacognition, doesn't occur naturally in any other condition. It's unique to lucid dreaming. Interestingly, the transition into lucidity doesn't always happen gradually. Sometimes it's sudden, like a switch flipping. One moment you're immersed in a non-lucid dream, and the next, you're fully aware. Brain imaging studies suggest this abrupt change might correspond to a rapid increase in gamma wave activity, very fast brain waves associated with heightened awareness and information processing. Gamma waves are usually strongest when you're awake and focused. Finding them during REM sleep was surprising to researchers. It suggests that lucid dreaming shares more in common with waking consciousness than regular dreaming does. In a way, lucid dreamers are partially awake at least in the sense that their brains are generating patterns of activity typical of alert conscious thought. The brainstem plays a crucial role in regulating REM sleep and dreaming. It releases neurotransmitters like acetylcholine, which promote REM sleep and vivid dreaming, while suppressing others like serotonin and norepinephrine, which are associated with waking alertness. During a lucid dream, this balance shifts slightly. Evidence suggests that lucid dreamers have different levels of certain neurotransmitters during REM sleep compared to non-lucid dreamers. This subtle chemical shift might be what allows the prefrontal cortex to activate without fully waking the person up. The brain maintains the conditions necessary for dreaming while simultaneously supporting the conditions necessary for conscious awareness. It's a delicate neurochemical dance. One of the strangest findings in lucid dreaming research involves the motor cortex, the part of your brain that controls voluntary movement. During REM sleep, your muscles are paralyzed to prevent you from physically acting out your dreams. But when lucid dreamers imagine moving in their dreams, their motor cortex activates in ways similar to waking movement. If you dream of clenching your fist while lucid, the motor cortex sends signals as if you're actually clenching your fist, even though your hand remains still. Studies measuring muscle activity in lucid dreamers found tiny suppressed twitches corresponding to dream movement. Your brain treats the dream movement as real, engaging the same neural circuits it would use during waking action. The only thing stopping you from moving is the temporary paralysis of REM sleep. This phenomenon has led some researchers to explore whether lucid dreaming could be used for physical rehabilitation. If the brain activates motor pathways during lucid dream movements, could stroke patients or people recovering from injuries use lucid dreams to practice movements their bodies can't yet perform? Evidence suggests that lucid dreamers have different levels of certain neurotransmitters during REM sleep compared to non-lucid dreamers. This subtle chemical shift might be what allows the prefrontal cortex to activate without fully waking the person up. The brain maintains the conditions necessary for dreaming while simultaneously supporting the conditions necessary for conscious awareness. It's a delicate neurochemical dance. Early research is exploring whether stroke patients or people recovering from injuries might use lucid dreams to practice movements their bodies can't yet perform. Preliminary findings are promising but still in early stages. The dream practice might reinforce neural pathways, priming the brain for eventual physical movement. It's early in this research, but it hints at the therapeutic potential of lucid dreaming. The hippocampus, a brain region critical for memory formation, is also active during lucid dreams. This makes sense, given that dreams often pull content from recent memories, older memories, and emotional experiences. But in lucid dreams, the hippocampus might function differently. Research suggests that lucid dreaming might enhance memory consolidation. People who regularly lucid dream sometimes perform better on certain memory tests. Though the causal relationship is still being explored, it might be that lucid dreaming improves memory. Or it might be that people with better memory are more likely to become lucid. The amygdala, the brain's emotional center, remains active during lucid dreams, but its activity can be modulated by the prefrontal cortex. In regular dreams, especially nightmares, the amygdala drives intense emotions without the regulating influence of higher reasoning. Fear, anxiety, and panic can overwhelm the dreamer. But in a lucid dream, the prefrontal cortex can essentially tell the amygdala, "This isn't real, there's no actual threat." Over time and with practice, this can reduce the emotional intensity of nightmares. Research has shown that lucid dream therapy can significantly reduce nightmare frequency and distress in people suffering from PTSD. The ability to reason with your own fear, even in a dream, gives you a powerful tool for emotional healing. Lucid dreaming also involves the thalamus, a structure deep in the brain that acts as a relay station for sensory information. During waking hours, the thalamus filters and directs sensory input to the appropriate brain regions for processing. During sleep, it helps regulate the transition between different sleep stages. In lucid dreams, the thalamus might play a role in maintaining the sensory vividness of the dream, while also supporting the conscious awareness that distinguishes lucidity from ordinary dreaming. It's as if the thalamus is working overtime, managing both the dream content and the conscious observation of that content simultaneously. The exact mechanisms are still being studied, but brain imaging suggests the thalamus is unusually active during lucid REM sleep. There's also evidence that lucid dreaming changes brain structure over time. Neuroimaging research has shown that experienced lucid dreamers display differences in brain structure compared to those who rarely or never lucid dream. Studies using structural MRI found that frequent lucid dreamers had increased gray matter volume in areas associated with self-reflection and metacognition, particularly in the anterior prefrontal cortex. This suggests that lucid dreaming isn't just a passive experience, it's a form of mental training that can reshape the brain. Just as learning a new language or musical instrument changes neural architecture, regularly practicing lucidity in dreams appears to strengthen the brain's capacity for self-awareness. The communication between different brain regions is key to lucid dreaming. During regular REM sleep, brain networks operate somewhat independently, generating dream content without much coordination. But during lucid dreaming, there's increased connectivity between regions. This enhanced communication allows for the integration of self-awareness with the ongoing dream narrative. Researchers describe it as the brain achieving a higher-order state where multiple levels of processing occur simultaneously. You're not just experiencing the dream, you're also watching yourself experience it, aware of your own awareness. This requires different parts of the brain to work together in ways they typically don't during sleep. Electroencephalography, or EEG, measures electrical activity in the brain, using electrodes placed on the scalp. When researchers use EEG to study lucid dreamers, they find a distinctive pattern, a mixture of the slow theta waves typical of REM sleep combined with faster beta and gamma waves typical of waking consciousness. This hybrid brain state has sometimes been called paradoxical sleep awareness. The brain is simultaneously in two modes, dreaming and awake, which shouldn't be possible according to older models of sleep. But lucid dreaming shows that consciousness is more flexible than those models assumed. Your brain can blend states, creating experiences that don't fit neatly into categories like awake or asleep. You exist in between. Researchers have also studied what happens in the brain when lucidity fades and you return to a regular non-lucid dream. The transition is often gradual. The prefrontal cortex activity decreases. The frontoparietal network quiets, and the brain slips back into the typical REM sleep pattern. Sometimes this happens because the dreamer gets too excited and accidentally wakes up, or because they lose focus and stop questioning the dream. Other times, it seems to occur naturally as the brain cycles through different phases of REM sleep. Each REM period during the night has slightly different characteristics, and some are more conducive to lucidity than others. The later REM periods, which are longer and more intense, tend to produce more lucid dreams, likely because the brain is closer to the waking threshold. So what your brain is doing during a lucid dream is performing a remarkable balancing act. It's maintaining the neural conditions necessary for vivid, immersive dreaming, while simultaneously activating the systems responsible for self-awareness and critical thinking. It's suppressing movement to keep you safe, but allowing motor planning to proceed. It's generating emotions, but also giving you the tools to regulate them. It's creating a world out of memory and imagination, while letting a part of you stand outside that world and observe it. This is not a glitch or a malfunction. It's your brain demonstrating its incredible capacity for flexibility, adaptation, and consciousness in multiple modes. And understanding this helps us see that the boundary between dreaming and waking is not a wall but a gradient, and you can learn to navigate that gradient intentionally. You're still here with me, thoughts still flickering like candlelight. Just notice, don't judge. Just notice where your mind is. We're exploring consciousness itself, the very thing doing the exploring right now. Strange, beautiful, and perfectly calm. Let's drift onward together. Not everyone experiences lucid dreams with the same frequency. Some people have them naturally, several times a week, without trying. Others practice for months and still only have occasional flickers of lucidity. Why the difference? Research suggests that genetics, personality traits, and cognitive abilities all play a role. One key factor is something called metacognition, the ability to think about your own thinking. People who are naturally reflective, who often analyze their thoughts and mental states during the day, tend to have more lucid dreams. Their brains are already in the habit of self-monitoring, and that habit carries over into sleep. Research from the University of Lincoln found that people who score high on measures of metacognitive awareness are significantly more likely to experience spontaneous lucid dreams. The researchers tested participants on their ability to reflect on their own decision-making processes and problem-solving strategies. Those who demonstrated strong metacognitive skills reported lucid dreams up to 70% more often than those with lower scores. The connection makes sense. If you're used to questioning your thoughts while awake, you're more likely to question your experiences while asleep. The mental habit of stepping back and observing your own mind is the same whether your eyes are open or closed. Personality also matters. Studies have found that people who are open to new experiences, one of the big 5 personality traits in psychology, tend to have more lucid dreams. Openness involves curiosity, imagination, and a willingness to explore unusual ideas. People high in openness are comfortable with ambiguity and novelty, which might make them more receptive to the strange, fluid nature of dreams. They're less likely to dismiss odd dream elements as just how things are, and more likely to notice inconsistencies and question them. In contrast, people who prefer routine and predictability might be less inclined to interrogate the dream world, allowing non-lucid dreams to proceed without interruption. There's also evidence that video gamers experience lucid dreams more frequently than non-gamers. Research surveying over 1,000 participants suggested that those who regularly played video games, especially immersive or first-person games, reported higher rates of lucid dreaming. The researchers hypothesized that gaming trains the brain to maintain a dual awareness, simultaneously being immersed in a virtual world while remembering it's not real. Gamers are used to controlling avatars, navigating artificial environments, and making conscious choices within a constructed reality. These skills might transfer to the dream state, making it easier for gamers to recognize and navigate dreams with conscious awareness. Age affects lucid dreaming frequency as well, though not in a straightforward way. As mentioned earlier, children tend to have more lucid dreams than adults, but this isn't just because their imaginations are more active. Brain development plays a role. The prefrontal cortex, which is crucial for lucidity, continues developing well into a person's mid-20s. During childhood and adolescence, the connections between the prefrontal cortex and other brain regions are still forming and strengthening. This developmental process might create windows of heightened lucidity. Interestingly, some research suggests that lucid dreaming frequency can increase again in older adults, possibly because retirees have more flexible sleep schedules and more time to focus on dream practices. People who have irregular sleep schedules, who wake frequently during the night, or who experience disrupted REM sleep, tend to have fewer lucid dreams. Lucidity requires sustained REM periods, particularly the longer REM cycles that occur in the second half of the night. If you're sleep deprived or constantly waking, your brain doesn't have the opportunity to build the stable REM environment needed for lucidity to emerge. Conversely, practices like wake back to bed, waking up after several hours of sleep, staying awake briefly, then going back to sleep, can increase lucid dream frequency. This technique takes advantage of the fact that REM sleep is more intense after a brief waking period. Mental health can also affect lucid dreaming. People with certain conditions, like depression or anxiety, sometimes report fewer lucid dreams, possibly because these conditions alter sleep architecture and neurotransmitter levels. Depression, for instance, is associated with changes in REM sleep, including shortened REM latency and altered dream content. On the other hand, some studies suggest that mindfulness meditation, which is often used to treat anxiety and depression, increases lucid dreaming frequency. The common thread seems to be awareness, practices and states of mind that cultivate present moment awareness and self-reflection tend to promote lucidity, while those that cloud or disrupt awareness tend to inhibit it. Interestingly, people who keep dream journals are more likely to have lucid dreams. The act of recording your dreams each morning trains your brain to pay attention to dream content. You become familiar with your personal dream patterns, recurring themes, and common dream signs. This familiarity makes it easier to recognize when you're dreaming. If you know that clocks often behave strangely in your dreams, or that a certain person appears frequently, you'll be more likely to notice these elements and trigger lucidity. Journaling also strengthens dream recall, which creates a positive feedback loop. The better you remember your dreams, the more you think about them, and the more you think about them, the more likely you are to become lucid. Diet and lifestyle choices can influence lucid dreaming as well. Vitamin B6, found in foods like fish, poultry, and bananas, has been linked to more vivid dreams and slightly increased lucid dream frequency in some studies. Research found that participants who took vitamin B6 supplements before bed reported more vivid and memorable dreams, though the effect on lucidity specifically was modest. Other factors like caffeine, alcohol, and cannabis use can disrupt sleep architecture and reduce REM sleep quality, making lucid dreams less likely. Your overall health, stress levels, and sleep hygiene all contribute to the conditions that either support or hinder lucidity. Halfway through our journey, the answer is emerging. Some people are more prone to lucid dreams because of a combination of innate traits and learned skills. Metacognition, openness to experience, gaming habits, dream journaling, mindfulness practices, stable sleep patterns, all of these factors interact to create a brain environment where lucidity can flourish. But the good news is that even if you don't naturally have these traits, many of them can be cultivated. You can train metacognitive awareness, improve sleep hygiene, start a dream journal, and practice reality testing. Lucid dreaming isn't reserved for a lucky few. It's a skill, a state of mind, and a relationship with your own consciousness that anyone can develop with patience and intention. And as we continue, we'll explore what this skill reveals about the deeper nature of who you are. Breathe slowly now. Let each breath guide you to realize time is yours, a separate stream that only you are living. While dreams unfold in their own rhythm, while the brain dances between waking and sleeping, this second you're breathing, listening, is unique. In dreams, time bends. In waking, time flows. But in this moment, right now, time simply is. Cherish the present moment, knowing that right now, your awareness is the only constant, whether you're awake or asleep, dreaming or lucid, and we continue drifting. Lucid dreams offer a unique mirror for self-understanding. In the dream, you're both the creator and the observer. Every character you meet, every landscape you explore, every emotion you feel, all of it comes from you. The dream is your mind talking to itself, revealing aspects of your inner life that might remain hidden during waking hours. When you become lucid, you gain the ability to interact with this inner world consciously, asking questions, exploring symbols, and engaging with parts of yourself that normally operate beneath awareness. It's a form of self-dialogue that psychotherapy has long valued. But in dreams, it happens spontaneously and vividly. Many lucid dreamers report using their dreams to work through emotional challenges. If you're anxious about an upcoming event, you can rehearse it in a lucid dream, exploring different outcomes and responses without real-world consequences. If you're grieving a loss, you can meet the person you've lost in a dream and have conversations you never got to have in waking life. The dream won't bring them back, but it can provide a sense of closure, comfort, or connection. Research on lucid dreaming and grief found that participants who engaged with deceased loved ones in lucid dreams reported reduced grief intensity and improved emotional well-being over time. If you're afraid of heights, you can practice standing on a dream cliff, feeling the fear but knowing you can't actually fall. If you're anxious about public speaking, you can give a speech to a dream audience and experiment with how it feels to succeed or fail without real stakes. This is similar to exposure therapy, a psychological treatment where people gradually face their fears in controlled settings. In a lucid dream, the control is absolute. You can adjust the intensity of the fear, change the scenario, or wake yourself up if it becomes overwhelming. The brain learns that the fear is manageable, and sometimes that learning transfers to waking life. Some people use lucid dreams to practice forgiveness. They meet someone who hurt them in a dream and have a conversation they couldn't have in reality, either because the person is no longer in their life or because the waking relationship is too complicated. In the dream, you can say what you need to say, hear what you need to hear, and release the emotional weight you've been carrying. The forgiveness might not involve the other person at all. It might be forgiving yourself for your own mistakes, regrets, or perceived failures. The dream becomes a space where you can let go of what you've been holding on to, even if it's just symbolically. Lucid dreams reveal your creativity in ways waking life rarely does. In the dream, you're not limited by physical laws, social expectations, or practical constraints. You can compose music you've never heard, paint landscapes that don't exist, design buildings that defy gravity. Professional artists and musicians sometimes use lucid dreams as a creative laboratory. They'll intentionally become lucid to explore new ideas, trusting that their unconscious mind will generate material their conscious mind couldn't. Even if the dream creations don't translate perfectly to waking life, the experience of creating without limits can open new creative pathways. Another profound aspect of your personality you don't usually acknowledge. You might meet a dream character who embodies your anger, your sadness, your joy, or your hidden desires. In Jungian psychology, this is called shadow work, engaging with the parts of yourself you've repressed or denied. Lucid dreams make this work accessible, because the dream characters can talk back, explaining themselves, asking questions, offering perspectives you hadn't considered. You're essentially having a dialogue between different parts of your psyche. Mediated by the dream imagery, it's introspective work that can be difficult in waking life, but feels natural and fluid in the dream state. Lucid dreams can also show you how your mind constructs meaning from chaos. The dream generates random images, memories, and sensations, and your brain weaves them into a narrative. When you're lucid, you can watch this process happening in real time. You see how a meaningless image becomes a symbol, how an emotion shapes the dream environment, how your thoughts influence the plot. This reveals something important, even in waking life. Your brain is doing the same thing. It's taking sensory input and constructing a coherent story about reality. The difference is that during the day, the input comes from outside. At night, it comes from within. But the process of meaning-making is the same. Some lucid dreamers explore philosophical questions in their dreams. They ask the dream itself, "What are you? Why do you exist?" And sometimes, the dream answers, not with words necessarily, but with feelings, images, or sudden insights. One lucid dreamer reported asking a dream character, "Who are you?" And the character replied, "I'm the part of you that asks questions." Another dreamer asked the dream sky, "What is consciousness?" and felt a wave of understanding wash over them. A sense that consciousness is simply awareness experiencing itself. These moments might not provide definitive answers, but they offer perspectives that feel profound and true in the moment. Lucid dreams can also highlight your habitual thought patterns. If you notice that your dreams often involve themes of being chased, it might reflect a waking tendency to avoid confrontation or difficult emotions. If your dreams frequently feature water, it might point to emotional fluidity or, conversely, fear of being overwhelmed. By becoming lucid and consciously examining these patterns, you can gain insight into your default mental habits. You can then choose to change them. Even within the dream, if you're being chased, you can turn and face the pursuer. If you're drowning, you can remember you can breathe underwater. Each choice in the dream is practice for making different choices while awake. There's a therapeutic technique called imagery rehearsal therapy that uses elements similar to lucid dreaming. People who suffer from recurring nightmares are taught to reimagine the nightmare with a different, less distressing ending while awake. Then, when the nightmare occurs again, they're more likely to remember the revised version and alter the dream. Lucid dreaming takes this a step further. You don't just imagine a different ending, you actively create it in real time, while the nightmare is happening. Research on nightmare treatment found that lucid dream therapy was among the gentlest and most helpful approaches, reducing nightmare frequency by an average of 60% in participants who successfully achieved lucidity. Lucid dreams can also foster a sense of interconnectedness. When you realize that the entire dream world is a creation of your own mind, you might feel a strange unity with everything in it. The dream characters, the landscapes, the sky, they're all you. There's no separation. Some lucid dreamers describe this as a spiritual experience, a feeling of oneness that extends beyond the dream. They wake up with a sense that the boundaries between self and other, inner and outer, are more permeable than they seem. This can shift how you relate to people and the world during waking life, fostering empathy and a sense of shared existence. Interestingly, lucid dreamers sometimes report that dream characters seem to have their own autonomy, acting in ways that surprise or challenge the dreamer. Even though you know logically that the character is part of your mind, they don't always behave as you expect. They might refuse your requests, offer unexpected advice, or reveal information you didn't consciously know. This suggests that different parts of your mind operate independently, with their own logic and perspectives. The dream becomes a conversation between conscious intention and unconscious processes, each contributing to the experience in ways that feel collaborative rather than controlled. Lucid dreams can also help you understand your values and priorities. When you have the freedom to do anything in a dream, fly, visit impossible places, create or destroy, what do you choose? Some people find they gravitate toward simple, peaceful experiences, walking through beautiful landscapes, spending time with loved ones, or simply existing without goals or agendas. Others seek adventure, challenge, or novelty. These choices reveal what you truly value when external pressures are removed. They show you what your mind reaches for when it's free to choose without consequence. And that insight can guide your waking decisions, helping you align your life more closely with what actually matters to you. There's also the potential for healing physical sensations in lucid dreams. Some people with chronic pain report that they can reduce or eliminate pain within a lucid dream, and occasionally that relief persists briefly after waking. While lucid dreams can't cure physical ailments, they might influence how the brain processes pain signals. Early research explored this by having chronic pain sufferers practice pain reduction techniques in lucid dreams. The results were preliminary, but intriguing. Some participants reported modest improvements in waking pain levels, possibly because lucid dreaming activated brain regions involved in pain modulation. The mind's ability to alter its own perception of pain, even temporarily, speaks to the deep connection between consciousness and physical experience. We now understand that lucid dreams are not just entertainment or escape. They're a tool for self-exploration, emotional healing, creative expression, and psychological growth. They reveal the architecture of your inner world, showing you how your mind builds reality, navigates challenges, and seeks meaning. In a lucid dream, you're both the subject and the scientist, conducting experiments on your own consciousness. And the findings are always personal, always relevant. Every lucid dream teaches you something about who you are, how you think, what you fear, and what you love. It's introspection without the filter of waking defenses, a direct encounter with the raw material of your psyche. Lucid dreams can also change your relationship with sleep itself. Many people approach sleep as a loss of consciousness, a blank period between days. But lucid dreaming reframes sleep as an opportunity, a space where awareness continues in a different form. Sleep becomes less like death and more like a journey. You go somewhere each night, explore new territories, and return with memories and insights. This can make sleep feel less frightening for people who struggle with insomnia or anxiety about the vulnerability of being unconscious. Sleep is not oblivion. It's transformation. Some lucid dreamers develop what they call dream friends, recurring characters who appear across many dreams and with whom they build relationships over time. These dream friends might represent aspects of the dreamer's personality, or they might function as internal guides, offering wisdom or companionship. Whether they're fragments of memory, symbolic representations, or simply creative inventions, they feel real to the dreamer, and the relationships with them can be as meaningful as waking friendships. This speaks to the brain's ability to create complex, emotionally resonant experiences entirely from within, without external input. There's a humility that comes with lucid dreaming, too. You realize how much of your experience is constructed, how easily your brain can generate entire worlds and populate them with detail. If the dream can feel this real while you're in it, how do you know waking life isn't similarly constructed? Philosophers have asked this question for millennia. Lucid dreaming doesn't answer it definitively, but it makes the question visceral. You live the paradox of being certain you're dreaming while the dream feels undeniably real. And that paradox follows you into waking life, making you a little less certainties, a little more open to the possibility that reality is stranger and more fluid than it appears. Lucid dreams can foster gratitude. When you can fly, visit impossible places, and experience things your waking body never could, you might feel a deep appreciation for the gift of consciousness. Your brain, this 3-pound organ, is capable of creating infinite experiences. It doesn't need external stimuli to generate beauty, joy, or wonder. It can do that on its own. Waking up from a lucid dream, you might feel grateful not just for the dream, but for the mind that created it, and by extension, for all the experiences your mind creates every day. Gratitude for the miracle of being aware at all. Lucid dreams can also highlight the impermanence of experience. Everything in the dream is temporary. Landscapes shift, characters disappear, emotions arise and fade. Nothing lasts, and because you're conscious during this process, you can watch impermanence unfold in real time. This can be a meditation on the transient nature of all experience, waking or sleeping. Nothing you think, feel, or perceive is permanent. It all arises from conditions, persists briefly and passes away. Lucid dreaming makes this truth tangible. And for some people, that brings peace, a recognition that you don't need to cling to anything, because everything changes. And that's okay. Lucid dreaming can also deepen your sense of agency. In waking life, you often feel constrained by circumstances, by other people's expectations, by physical limitations. But in a lucid dream, you're entirely in charge. You can choose how to respond to any situation. You can change the environment, alter your emotions, or simply observe without reacting. This practice of agency, of consciously choosing your response, can build confidence that transfers to waking life. You remember that even when you can't control external circumstances, you can control how you engage with them. The dream becomes a training ground for intentional living. Some lucid dreamers report having transcendent experiences, moments where the dream dissolves into pure light, or where they feel they've touched something infinite and eternal. These experiences are subjective and difficult to study scientifically, but they're deeply meaningful to those who have them. Whether they represent genuine spiritual insights or simply the brain's capacity for generating profound states of consciousness is an open question. What's clear is that lucid dreams can produce experiences that people describe as sacred, transformative, and beyond words. The dream becomes a gateway to something larger than the individual self. Lucid dreams also teach you about attention. In a dream, whatever you focus on becomes more vivid, more detailed. If you look at your hands, they become clearer. If you focus on a distant mountain, it draws closer. Your attention shapes the dream. And this is true in waking life as well. What you pay attention to expands, becomes more significant, occupies more of your mental space. Lucid dreaming makes this principle visible. You see, in real time, how attention creates reality. And you can use that insight to be more intentional about where you place your focus during the day. There's also the simple joy of play. Lucid dreams give you a space to be playful, curious, and free without judgment or consequence. You can experiment, make mistakes, try impossible things, and laugh at the absurdity of it all. Play is essential for psychological well-being, but adults often lose touch with it. Lucid dreaming can bring it back. It reminds you that not everything needs to be serious or productive. Sometimes, the best thing you can do is explore, wonder, and enjoy the sheer strangeness of being conscious in a world that doesn't follow the usual rules. So what do lucid dreams show you about yourself? They show you that you're more creative, more resilient, more complex than you might have thought. They show you that your mind is a universe unto itself, capable of generating infinite experiences. They show you that consciousness is flexible, that you can witness your own thoughts and emotions without being controlled by them. They show you that fear, pain, and difficulty can be met with awareness and transformed. They show you that you're not just a passive recipient of experience, you're an active participant, a co-creator, a dreamer who can wake up within the dream and choose how to engage with it. And that truth echoes beyond sleep into every moment of your waking life. You might be feeling tired now. That's perfectly fine. Breathe slowly. Feel the cycles. Your breath, inhale, exhale, a small cycle within the vast universe. Thoughts arise and pass. Awareness remains. You are also part of that eternal movement. You don't need to hold on to anything. Let everything unfold in its perfect order. Like dreams cycling through the night, unhurried, unresisting, simply existing. We're almost there now. In a lucid dream, limits dissolve. You can be anyone, go anywhere, experience anything. So the question arises when there are no constraints. Who do you become? What do you choose when choice is infinite? These aren't just dream questions. They're questions about identity, about the self beneath the roles, expectations, and circumstances that define you during waking life. In the dream, stripped of all that, what remains? Some people find that they still behave according to their waking values. Others discover surprising desires or tendencies. The dream reveals the core of who you are. Lucid dreams can show you that identity is fluid. In one dream, you might be yourself as you know yourself. In another, you might take on a different form, a child, an animal, a stranger. And in that form, you might feel different, think different thoughts, have different priorities. This suggests that the you know, is just one possible configuration of consciousness. There are other ways to be, other perspectives to inhabit. Your identity is not fixed. It's a pattern your mind adopts. But it can adopt other patterns just as easily. This realization can be liberating. You're not trapped in one way of being. You're flexible, adaptable, capable of becoming whoever the moment requires. When limits are removed, many lucid dreamers gravitate toward connection. They seek out loved ones, explore beautiful places, or simply rest in the presence of the dream itself. This suggests that beneath the busyness and striving of waking life, what you truly want is peace, beauty, and a belonging. When you don't have to achieve, prove, or protect anything, you naturally move toward what nurtures your soul. The dream becomes a reminder of what matters most, not success or productivity, but connection and presence. Others discover a hunger for exploration. They want to see what's beyond the horizon, what's inside the impossible structure, what happens if they break the rules. This curiosity is a fundamental part of being human. We're explorers by nature, always pushing boundaries, always asking what if. Lucid dreams give that impulse free rein. You can explore without risk, satisfy your curiosity without consequence. And in doing so, you honor a deep part of yourself that waking life often constrains. Lucid dreams can also reveal your relationship with control. Some people, when given unlimited power in a dream, become anxious. They don't know what to do with it. They feel overwhelmed by possibility. This can reflect a waking tendency to seek structure, to feel safer when boundaries are clear. Others embrace the freedom immediately, reveling in the lack of constraint. Neither response is better or worse. They're just different ways of relating to agency. The dream shows you how you handle freedom, and that awareness can inform how you navigate choice and responsibility while awake. There's a paradox at the heart of lucid dreaming. The more you try to control, the less control you have. But the more you surrender, the more you can influence. This mirrors many wisdom traditions that teach the same lesson. True power comes from letting go, from working with reality rather than against it. In a lucid dream, if you try to force something to happen, the dream resists. But if you gently suggest, if you cooperate with the dream's own momentum, you can guide it. This teaches a subtle art of influence that applies to waking life as well. You can't control everything, but you can respond skillfully. Lucid dreams also confront you with existential questions. If the dream world feels real while you're in it, how do you know the waking world isn't also a dream? If consciousness can generate experience without external input, what does real even mean? These questions aren't meant to undermine your sense of reality, but to expand it. Maybe reality is larger and stranger than we think. Maybe consciousness is fundamental, not material form. Lucid dreaming doesn't answer these questions, but it makes you take them seriously. It opens the door to wonder. Some lucid dreamers describe moments of dissolving, where the boundary between self and dream disappears. They're no longer a person inside a dream. They are the dream. The trees, the the sky, the ground. It's all them, all consciousness experiencing itself. This is similar to descriptions of mystical or non-dual states in meditation traditions. The separation between observer and observed collapses. All that remains is awareness, witnessing itself. Whether this is a genuine insight into the nature of consciousness or simply a fascinating brain state is debatable. But for those who experience it, it feels like truth. Even now, awake, your brain is dreaming. It constructs what you see, hear, and feel from signals and memory. You've never seen the world as it truly is, only the story your mind tells about it. Lucid dreaming shows you this truth directly. You watch your brain build worlds from nothing, and you realize waking life works the same way. The only difference is where the input comes from. Both states are dreams. Both are real. Both are you. There's a courage that lucid dreaming can cultivate. In a dream, you can face things you'd never face while awake. You can stand at the edge of a cliff, confront a nightmare creature, or relive a painful memory. And because you know it's a dream, you might find you can face these moments with less overwhelm. Meeting them gently. This builds psychological resilience. You learn that you can tolerate fear, discomfort, and uncertainty. You learn that you're stronger than you thought. And sometimes, that courage carries over. You take risks in waking life you wouldn't have taken before, because the dream taught you that you can handle difficult emotions. Lucid dreams also teach acceptance. Not everything in the dream bends to your will. Some elements resist, some characters refuse to cooperate, some landscapes shift despite your intentions. And that's okay. You can't control everything, even in a dream. Learning to accept this, to let the dream unfold while you participate without forcing, is a form of surrender. It's recognizing that you're part of a larger process, not the sole author of it. This lesson applies beautifully to waking life, where control is always partial and surrender is often the wisest response. When there are no limits, you might also discover emptiness. Some lucid dreamers report that after the initial excitement of flying, exploring, and creating fades, they're left with a question: now what? The dream can do anything, but without meaning or purpose, even infinite possibility feels hollow. This can be a profound realization. Freedom without direction is just wandering. Power without purpose is just noise. What gives life meaning isn't the absence of limits, but what you choose to do within them. The dream can teach you to appreciate the constraints of waking life, because those constraints give your choices weight and significance. Your brain creates entire worlds while you sleep. Every night, during REM sleep, your mind constructs vivid experiences from memory fragments, emotions, and abstract patterns. Characters appear, conversations unfold, and landscapes emerge, all generated from within. These dream worlds feel real in the moment, complete with sights, sounds, and even physical sensations. Yet, they vanish upon waking like morning mist. The sleeping brain is not resting, but creating, exploring possibilities that waking life never offers. Lucid dreaming can also awaken compassion. When you realize that everyone in your dream is a part of you, you might treat them with more kindness. And that kindness can extend to waking life. If the angry dream character is just your own anger, maybe the angry person in front of you is also struggling with something internal. If the suffering you see in a dream is your own suffering, maybe the suffering you see in others is not so different from your own. The dream becomes a mirror, not just for yourself, but for all of humanity. Everyone is consciousness trying to make sense of experience. Everyone is navigating their own constructed reality. When there are no limits, you discover that you don't need limits to be yourself. You are yourself in the dream. Even when the dream allows impossible things, your core remains. Your awareness persists, the essence of who you are, isn't defined by circumstances or constraints. It's something deeper, a witnessing presence that remains constant whether you're awake or asleep, dreaming or lucid, limited or free. That presence is you. Everything else is just scenery. Lucid dreams can also cultivate presence. When you're lucid, you're fully engaged with the present moment of the dream. You're not lost in thought about the past or future. You're here, now, experiencing what's unfolding. This quality of presence is the same quality that meditation and mindfulness practices aim to develop. The dream becomes a meditation. You practice being fully aware, fully alive, fully present. And that practice strengthens your ability to be present while awake, to inhabit each moment fully without distraction or resistance. There's also a poetry to lucid dreaming that transcends explanation. The experience of flying through a dream sky, feeling weightless and free, defies rational description. The sensation of meeting a part of yourself in the form of a dream character and recognizing that encounter as sacred that can't be reduced to neuroscience or psychology. It's lived experience, felt truth, the kind of knowing that comes from direct encounter rather than intellectual understanding. Lucid dreaming gives you access to this poetic dimension of existence, where meaning emerges from feeling and symbol rather than logic. Lucid dreams remind you that sleep is not the enemy. For people with insomnia, sleep can feel elusive, frustrating, something to be chased and never caught. But lucid dreaming reframes sleep as a landscape to explore rather than a destination to reach. Sleep becomes interesting, inviting, full of potential. This shift in perspective can reduce sleep anxiety. You're not trying to force yourself to sleep, you're opening yourself to the experience of dreaming. And paradoxically, that openness often leads to better rest. Some lucid dreamers develop a practice of asking the dream a question and then waiting for an answer. The question might be personal. What do I need to know right now? Or philosophical. What is the nature of consciousness? The dream's response can come in many forms: a visual symbol, a feeling, a voice, or a sudden insight upon waking. Whether these responses come from a deeper wisdom within the unconscious mind, or are simply the brain generating random content that the conscious mind interprets meaningfully, is an open question. But the practice itself is valuable. It cultivates a relationship with the inner world, a trust that your mind holds, knowledge you can access if you listen. There's a sense in which lucid dreaming is the ultimate form of self-reliance. You're entirely alone in the dream. No external input, no other people, no physical world to ground you. And yet, you're not lonely. You have yourself, your awareness, your inner resources. This can be deeply reassuring. It shows you that you're enough. You don't need external validation, entertainment, or distraction to feel whole. You can generate experience, meaning, and joy from within. The dream teaches self-sufficiency at the level of consciousness. Lucid dreams can also be a gift you give yourself. In a world that often demands more than you can give, that judges, pressures, and exhausts you, the dream is a space where you can be kind to yourself. You can fly, rest, explore, heal. You can meet yourself with compassion. You can forgive yourself. You can simply exist without needing to perform or achieve. The dream becomes a sanctuary, a place where you're always welcome, always safe, always home. The real change isn't in the dream, it's in you. Lucid dreaming doesn't change the external world. It changes how you relate to experience. It shifts your perspective, loosens your assumptions, expands your sense of what's possible. And that changes everything. Because if your mind can create entire worlds, navigate between states, and witness itself in action, then maybe the limitations you accept in waking life are also more negotiable than they seem. When there are no limits, you discover that you don't need limits to be yourself. You are yourself in the dream, even when the dream allows impossible things. Your core remains. Your awareness persists. The essence of who you are isn't defined by circumstances or constraints. It's something deeper, a witnessing presence that remains constant, whether you're awake or asleep, dreaming or lucid, limited or free. That presence is you. Everything else is just scenery. Lucid dreaming invites you to live more consciously. If you can wake up within a dream, you can also wake up within waking life. Become more aware of your thoughts, emotions, habits, and choices. You can question assumptions, notice patterns, and make conscious decisions instead of sleepwalking through your days. The practice of lucidity doesn't end when you open your eyes. It continues. You carry the question with you. Am I aware? Am I aware? Am I choosing how to respond to this moment? And that question transforms how you live. The truth is, you've always been free. The lucid dream doesn't give you freedom. It reveals the freedom that was already there. Your consciousness is inherently free. It can focus or widen, engage or observe. A dream just makes this obvious by removing the usual distractions and constraints. But the same freedom exists right now as you lie here listening. You're free to let these words drift past, or to hold them close. Free to resist sleep, or to welcome it. Free to wonder about your dreams, or to let them remain a mystery. You are always the dreamer, always wake, to some degree, always free. And that truth, simple, quiet, undeniable, is the deepest gift that lucid dreaming offers. Not escape, not control, but recognition. You see yourself clearly, and in that seeing, you are home. And so, our quiet journey through the landscape of lucid dreams comes to a gentle close. We've traveled from that first strange moment when you realized you were dreaming to the neural dance happening in your brain, discovering along the way that consciousness is far more fluid and spacious than it seems. From the prefrontal cortex lighting up in REM sleep, to the dreamscapes where you practiced courage and compassion, we've glimpsed how the mind is both a mystery and a mirror. Lucid dreaming reminds us that awareness never truly sleeps. Much of the healing, the learning, the becoming happens in silence, in the dark hours of the night, in spaces we don't consciously control. Dreams teach us flexibility, resilience, and the art of gentle surrender. Without them, we'd lose touch with the deeper layers of ourselves. By pausing to notice, we glimpse the extraordinary. In the ordinary, the miracle of consciousness experiencing itself, awake and asleep, dreaming and lucid, always witnessing, always here. And now, in these final minutes, take the deepest breath you can. As deep as possible. Think about consciousness itself. Yours, mine, everyone listening. All awareness everywhere. Perhaps all connected in ways we don't yet understand. You are not alone in the universe of minds. Think about dreams arising each night. Billions of people slipping into sleep. Each mind creating its own universe. And sometimes, just sometimes, waking up inside that universe and recognizing itself. Let your entire being dissolve into the ocean of consciousness, into dreamless rest, into the space before thought. Prepare for deep sleep. No boundaries left, only peace. If this thoughtful exploration of the mind made you feel less alone tonight, whisper it forward to someone else lying awake. It may bring comfort to one more wandering consciousness, one more dreamer searching for peace. One quiet share, one peaceful night at a time. But there's no need to do anything now, nothing at all. You've traveled far tonight, farther than most journeys take you. You can allow these thoughts of dreams and consciousness to fade now, like morning fog dissolving in gentle sunlight, leaving only the peaceful calm behind. Let your breathing deepen. Let your body feel heavier, as if gravity itself is pulling you gently into the earth, into the bed, into stillness. If sleep comes, let it carry you like a slow river, smoothly, inevitably into a realm where time and weight no longer matter, where you might dream, where you might know you're dreaming, where you might fly. If your eyes are still open, the next video is waiting for you, ready to continue the journey. But if they're closed, stay there. Stay in the darkness that feels safe and warm. Tomorrow, your dreams will still be there. The mystery of consciousness will still be waiting. But tonight belongs to rest. Rest well, gentle dreamer. And remember, you are both the dreamer and the dream, the observer and the observed, the one who sleeps and the one who wakes. You are consciousness itself, experiencing its own infinite nature, one breath, one dream, one moment of awareness at a time. Dream deeper with bedtime science. Good night.